everyone, I hope all of you are doing good, and I am Roshni from LearnerHub, the free learning platform. So today I am here with the fourth and the final video of the series Combustion and Flame Class 8 Science, and in this video we are going to talk a bit about fossil fuels, their disadvantages, and then comes the interesting part where we are going to discuss a lot of questions, because we have already covered the theory in the last 3 videos already. So now it's time for questions. So please watch the complete video so that you get a good grasp on this lesson on combustion and flame. So are we all excited to learn? Let's get started. So now I was just telling you about the magic which often many people do, and we feel that, oh wow, he is able to do it so easily. So a brief contact with a flame doesn't burn. Yes, exactly. So please do not try this yourself, but in case if you have ever seen somebody doing like this, or if you ever come across somebody doing like this, then you should know what's happening actually. So what they do is they take their finger and they move their finger very fast through this flame. So actually their fingers move to and fro, passing through the flame. So just imagine doing that, because we feel that even if we slowly bring our finger near the flame, we feel so hot. So how can somebody actually make his or her finger pass through the flame? Now this becomes possible only when the movement is done really fast, because in that case the finger is not exposed to the outer hot layer for a long time. So if the skin doesn't get enough time to properly get exposed to the outer hot layer, and the inner layers are not that hot, so as a result the person doesn't get hurt. So that's one thing. So, however, when somebody does that, that becomes quite fascinating and impressive to see that the person is passing his finger through a flame and doesn't get burned. So the main trick behind this is that it needs to be done really fast. If somebody is trying to do it a little slowly, the finger will get burnt because of the exposure to the outer hot layer. And moreover, whoever does it, he tries to do it from on the lower side of the flame, because lower side would mean the inner layers which are less hot, because the outer layer is very hot, as I said. So therefore it is not possible to pass your finger from this portion, because this portion is going to be very hot. This side is also hot, this side is also hot. So therefore the finger need to be passed through the bottom of the flame. So the reason behind this is inner layer is less hot, and exposure of finger to the outer hot layer is for very short duration. So the duration is so short that no harm is caused to the finger. So let us now talk about the Bunsen burner flame. So still now we spoke about the candle flame. So let's talk about Bunsen burner a little. That's because you must be using it in your laboratory for performing several experiments. So you should know a little bit about Bunsen burner. So this is a laboratory equipment used for heating purposes. It was named after Robert Bunsen, who was a German chemist, and he used it for the first time. So if you look at the structure of a Bunsen burner, the speciality is that it produces a single open gas flame. So just a single flame comes out of it. So, and that is why the entire flame, it's extremely suitable for heating thin test tubes and those kind of equipments which are generally used in the laboratory. So this burner tube, the tube which you see here, this is the burner tube, which is also called as the barrel. And you see that there is an outlet here to which is connected the gas pipe. So this pipe is nothing but it is connected to the gas source. So the main gas source, from there the pipe is connected through which the gas comes, and due to the vaporization of that gas we get this flame. So here in this part, somewhere around this part, you have a structure like this which is rotatable. So basically you can rotate this structure over the barrel. So when you rotate this structure, what you can do by rotating the structure, you can alter the temperature of the flame. So this structure is known as collar, and this is called the base. It keeps the Bunsen burner stable, because it is very important to keep it stable, so for safety purposes. So now in Bunsen burner, there are three types of flames. One is safety flame, the other one is blue flame, and the third one is roaring blue flame. So safety flame is that flame which is produced at a temperature of around 300 degrees Celsius. So the color of this flame is yellow to orange in color, yellowish orange in color. And this flame is not used actually for heating anything because the temperature here is quite low. So it cannot heat anything. This only indicates that the Bunsen burner is on. So that is the only purpose of the safety flame. That is why it is called safety flame, because it is only for the safety purpose and it cannot heat anything. The next one is the blue flame, and this is the medium flame, you can say. It is neither very high nor very low flame. So it is a medium flame and it is the most commonly used flame, and the temperature for this flame is around 500 degrees Celsius, and yes, it can heat objects and it is most commonly used. And the third one is the roaring blue flame, and here the temperature goes as high as about 700 degrees Celsius. So here if you look at it, the color here is blue. In fact, for medium flame also it is blue in color, but for roaring blue flame you can actually see that the entire flame becomes blue in color, and at the center you can even see a blue colored triangle. So the flame becomes so intense that you can actually see a blue triangle shaped structure at the center. And when the roaring blue flame is coming out of the burner, there it is also accompanied by a noise. So which shows that this is in the roaring blue flame stage. Now how do you get these three types of flame from the Bunsen burner? So these flames are obtained at different temperatures. So how do we alter the temperature of the burner? With the help of the collar. As I said, the collar can be rotated over the barrel. So as you rotate the collar, the temperature changes, and looking at the flame you will be able to understand which flame it is. Now, if you normally want to use it for heating purpose, it is always safe to use the blue flame, which is the medium flame. Now, other than the collar, there are also valves which are present at the base of the burner, and these valves are also used for various types of adjustment of the flame height. So that's how basically a Bunsen burner works, and these are the different flames which are seen in a Bunsen burner. So similarly, for different combustible substances you see different types of flames. So that's how the concept of flame works. So based on whatever we have studied so far, we know that fuels release energy. And how do they release energy? By the process of combustion. Now again, we also saw that using different fuels involve different advantages and disadvantages. So we have also learned about the characteristics of good fuel and which fuel should be preferred over others. Now, when we spoke about the fossil fuels, the most commonly used fuels, that is coal, petroleum and natural gas. Now, it is also important to know that these fuels can be harmful too. So it is not only the advantages which are associated with these fuels, but they can be dangerous as well. So let us look at the disadvantages which are associated with the use of fossil fuels. Now, some of the disadvantages, the first one is that it causes severe air pollution, because when you think of fossil fuels, what are they? So the three common fossil fuels are coal, petroleum and natural gas, right? So when you burn any of these, you burn coal, a lot of smoke is produced, a lot of poisonous gases are produced, carbon monoxide is released, carbon dioxide is released, and all these create air pollution, and air pollution has serious health effects on all living organisms. So air pollution is one disadvantage associated with fossil fuels, and it is a major disadvantage. Second is it can cause acid rain. Now, these kind of oxides which are released as a result of combustion of these fossil fuels, like oxides of carbon, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxides. Now all these oxides are acidic in nature. So if you remember again the lesson on metals and non-metals, where I told you that oxides of non-metals, so here these are all non-metals, carbon, nitrogen, sulfur. So their oxides are all acidic in nature. right? So these acidic oxides, so where do they go? They remain in the atmosphere, and when it rains, they mix with the water droplets, and the rain becomes acid rain, because the rain also becomes acidic in nature. And this acid rain again has a lot of adverse effects on monuments. They cause blackening of the marbles. They also have they also cause serious health issues in living organisms. They also adversely affect the growth and productivity of plants. So acid rain is also something which is not at all desirable. It also causes greenhouse effect. What is greenhouse effect? Greenhouse effect is that phenomenon in which the greenhouse gases, and what are the greenhouse gases? Carbon dioxide and methane. So these gases, what do? They tend to absorb more and more infrared rays, and as a result, the overall temperature of the earth increases. So greenhouse effect actually results in global warming. Now, how fossil fuels contribute to greenhouse effect? Because burning fossil fuels release these gases. So it increases the content of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Therefore, greenhouse effect increases, which in turn results in global warming. So overall, if you see, using fossil fuels definitely gives us a lot of energy, which can be used for various domestic and industrial purpose. But at the same time, they have severe effects or severe disadvantages associated with the environment. And if we are getting benefit by harming our environment, then there is no point, because when the environment gets polluted, it is end of the day, it is we who are going to suffer. So we should always use these fossil fuels very judiciously. We should use them only to that extent which is extremely necessary. So coal and petroleum should be used judiciously, so that they are left for our future generation, and also because if we use them in excess right now, so the environmental effects will be so much that their advantages will fade away in front of their disadvantages. So some of the ways by which we can make judicial use of energy is prefer stairs over lift, because stairs would cost electricity, and electricity is generated from, for electricity we use thermal power plants, and they are dependent on energy from coal. So basically, if you are wasting electricity, you are actually wasting fossil fuels. Prefer tube lights over bulbs, again to save electricity. Prefer cycling over bus, because bus would run on diesel, or any other vehicle would run on petrol or diesel. So if you do not use them and use cycle, so you are actually saving that fuel. Prefer bus over car, because a bus can carry some 50 people and a car may carry just 1 or 2 people. So that is using a bus is more advantageous. So some simple things which you can do in your day-to-day life to save energy, which in turn will help us to reduce the usage of fossil fuels, which in turn will keep our environment neat and clean and safe for us. So with this, we have reached towards the end of this lesson. So let us quickly look at some of the questions. Question number 1. List conditions under which combustion can take place. So now, as I have mentioned before also, that there are 3 things which are absolutely necessary for combustion to take place. First is a fuel or a substance. You need something to burn, right? Otherwise, there will be no combustion. So in this case, the paper is the combustible substance or the fuel. Air, because combustion happens in presence of oxygen. Combustion is nothing but reaction of the substance with oxygen to release lot of heat. That is combustion. And the third requirement is heat. So this heat will increase the temperature of the substance so that it can reach its ignition temperature. Ignition temperature varies for each substance, and it is that minimum temperature at which a substance catches fire. So these are the 3 things which are extremely necessary for combustion to happen. Question number 2. Fill in the blanks. Burning of wood and coal causes dash of air. So when we burn wood or coal, what happens? They release a lot of poisonous gases, they release a lot of smoke. So all these causes pollution of air. A liquid fuel used in homes is, so one example of a liquid fuel which is used in home, maybe to light lamps. Yes, it could be kerosene, because normally you have other fuels like petrol, diesel, but we do not really use them at home. Fuel must be heated to its dash before it starts burning. So the minimum temperature where it starts burning, that is the ignition temperature. So any fuel has to be heated till their ignition temperature. Fire produced by oil cannot be controlled by. Now, how do we control fire? We have different ways. We can make use of water, we can make use of carbon dioxide. Now, water cannot be used to control fire in some cases. One such example is the electrical equipments. The other example is oil, because oil and water, they really do not mix with each other. Now, when they do not mix with each other, then water will not be able to reduce the overall temperature, because water controls fire by reducing the temperature of the substance. But in this case, water doesn't mix with oil, so it will not be able to reduce the temperature. So fire caused by oil will not be controlled by water. Question number 3. Explain how use of CNG in automobiles has reduced pollution in our cities. CNG is nothing but compressed natural gas. So CNG is comparatively a cleaner fuel when compared to petrol or diesel. So it is a cleaner fuel in terms of it is very efficient because it leaves very less residue when it is completely burned. So when you completely burn the fuel, if a lot of residue is left behind, so that residue is again going to cause trouble to the environment, right? That also proves that the fuel was not efficient enough. Most of it remained there as residue. So obviously, only a small part of the fuel was actually able to produce energy. But when there is less residue, so that means first of all, the fuel was efficient. Most of the fuel got converted into energy. Secondly, we have less waste material present for the environment. So that is also an advantage. So that means it is very much environment friendly, and it also produces less harmful gases when it is burnt. Like in case of coal, when you burn coal, a lot of smoke is produced, a lot of harmful gases, which if breathed in causes a lot of problems in human beings. But here comparatively, the gases which are produced, they are also less harmful. So overall, we can say that CNG is very environment friendly, and that is why use of CNG is preferred over petrol or diesel. Question number 4. Compare LPG and wood as fuels. So here also, if you compare both of them, you will see that LPG is more environment friendly when compared to wood, because when both of them are burnt, in LPG no smoke is produced, it is very less, but in wood a lot of smoke is produced, which again is hazardous for health. In LPG, carbon monoxide is not produced, and carbon monoxide is a harmful gas. It causes environmental pollution, it results in acid rain, so it is not a good gas. But in case when you burn wood, carbon monoxide is produced. So LPG causes less air pollution because no smoke, no carbon monoxide, no harmful gases, whereas wood causes a lot of air pollution. If you compare their calorific value, you will see that LPG has a higher calorific value. Calorific value means the amount of heat energy that is produced by burning 1 kg of the fuel. So that means it produces more heat. Producing more heat is again a characteristic of a good fuel. So that way also LPG is a better fuel when compared to wood. So you can actually match their calorific values. So LPG is quite higher when compared to wood. Question number 5. Give reasons. Water is not used to control fires involving electrical equipments. Now, when I say water, we normally do not mean distilled water. It is not pure water. So, this water contains dissolved salts and minerals in it. So, this water is a good conductor of electricity. Now, since it can conduct electricity, so when we put water over electrical equipment, then chances of getting electric shock increases. Therefore, water is not used wherever electrical equipment is involved. Instead, what is used? Carbon dioxide is used. LPG is better domestic fuel than wood, again because LPG is environment friendly, less smoke is produced, less air pollution, higher calorific value. Paper by itself catches fire easily, whereas a piece of paper wrapped around an aluminium pipe does not. Now, how easily an object will catch fire, that completely depends on the ignition temperature. So those substances which have very low ignition temperature, they will catch fire very easily. So the same thing happens here. Ignition temperature of paper is very less, so it catches fire very easily. But the ignition temperature of aluminium is quite higher. So when you have the same piece of paper but it is wrapped around aluminium, so the overall ignition temperature increases. And that is why they do not catch fire that easily. Question number 6. Name the unit in which the calorific value of a fuel is expressed. So calorific value is the amount of heat energy which is produced on complete combustion of 1 kg of fuel. So heat energy, units of energy is joules. Now here we are talking about huge amounts of energy. So we use, say, kilojoules. Right? So the unit in which we will measure this is kilojoules per kg. That means how much kilojoule of energy is being produced by 1 kg of the fuel. So the unit is kilojoule per kg. So if you look at the calorific values of various fuels, for example, for coal, the calorific value is around 25,000 to 33,000 kilojoules per kg. If you look at the calorific value of petrol, it is 45,000 kilojoules per kg. That means on complete combustion of 1 kg of petrol, heat energy of 45,000 kilojoules will be produced. You take example of LPG. So for LPG, it is 55,000 kilojoules per kg. So 1 kg of LPG on complete combustion will produce 55,000 kilojoules of heat energy. Biogas. This has a calorific value of 35,000 to 40,000 kilojoules per kg. Question number 7. Explain how carbon dioxide is able to control fires. Now, as I mentioned before, carbon dioxide is generally used in scenarios where water cannot be used to control fire. One such scenario is fire involving electrical equipments. So carbon dioxide is sprayed, when it is sprayed through the fire extinguishers, it acts as a blanket over the substance and the fire. So basically it cuts the contact. So this blanket is the blanket of carbon dioxide, and you have oxygen here. So basically the contact of the substance with the oxygen is lost due to the formation of blanket of carbon dioxide in between them. Now since the supply of oxygen is lost, therefore combustion does not take place, because for combustion oxygen is an important criteria. So, and why carbon dioxide forms this blanket? Because carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen. So therefore it tends to settle down, and that's how it tends to form a layer below oxygen. So it acts as a blanket on the fire, contact with oxygen is lost, and therefore the fire gets extinguished. Question number 8. It is difficult to burn a heap of green leaves, but dry leaves catch fire easily. Explain. Now, when you talk about green leaves, they contain moisture, they contain water, and wherever we have water, what does it do? It does some cooling. So it tends to reduce the temperature. So the ignition temperature becomes difficult to be achieved because the normal temperature gets reduced. So instead of providing heat due to the presence of water, there is a cooling effect. So therefore it increases the ignition temperature, and therefore it do not catch fire easily. So when water is present there, so it becomes difficult to reach the ignition temperature. So you can say it in other words, presence of water makes it difficult to reach the ignition temperature, and if ignition temperature is not reached, it will not catch fire. But if you look at the dry leaves, they do not contain water, so it is easier for them to reach their ignition temperature. Question number 9. Which zone of a flame does a goldsmith use for melting gold and silver? Now for melting gold and silver, the goldsmith needs lot of heat, and which is the hottest layer? the outermost zone. So the outermost zone, or the luminous or the non-luminous zone, is the hottest zone and is used by goldsmith. So outermost layer or flame is used for melting gold and silver. So this is also known as the non-luminous zone, because it is the hottest layer. Question number 10. In an experiment, 4.5 kg of a fuel was completely burnt. The heat produced was measured to be 1,80,000 kilojoules. Calculate the calorific value of a fuel. So what is calorific value? It is the amount of energy that is produced on burning 1 kg of fuel. So the question says that 4.5 kg of fuel was completely burned to produce 1,80,000 kilojoules of energy. So when 1 kg of fuel will be completely burned, then how much kilojoules will be produced? 1,80,000 divided by 4.5 kilojoules per kg. So this comes out to be 40,000 kilojoules per kg. So this would be the calorific value of the fuel. Question number 11. Can the process of rusting be called combustion? Discuss. What is rusting? What happens in rusting? Rusting is the process, rusting happens in case of metals like iron or copper. So when they are exposed to moist air, they form oxides, and the formation of their oxides results in the formation of a layer over their surface. For example, in case of iron, there is a reddish colored layer. In case of copper, there is a greenish layer. But in case of rusting also, rusting is also oxidation, where the metal actually combines with oxygen to form oxides. And during that process, rust is formed. But it is not combustion. Why? Because how do we define combustion? In combustion also oxidation happens. So the similarity between rusting and combustion is that both of them are oxidation. That is, in both the processes, the substance combines with oxygen. But in case of rusting, there is no heat released. But in combustion, heat has to be released. So that is how we define combustion. Only if oxidation results in production of heat and light, that is called combustion. But in rusting, there is no heat released. So if you compare these two processes, when you burn wood, a lot of heat is released. Light is also released. So this is combustion. But if you look at the rusting of copper, so there is a formation of an additional greenish layer due to the formation of rust, but there is no heat which is released during the process. Therefore, rusting cannot be called combustion, mainly because no heat is produced during rusting. Question number 12. Abida and Ramesh were doing an experiment in which water was to be heated in a beaker. So you have a beaker with water. So Abida kept the beaker near the wick in the yellow flame, in the yellow part of the candle flame. Okay. So let us say this is Abida. So what did she do? She kept the beaker near the wick in the yellow part of candle flame. So this is the yellow part of the candle flame, and she kept the beaker in that part. Ramesh kept the beaker in the outermost part of the flame. So this was the outermost part of the flame, the bluish part. So this is what Ramesh did. So whose water will get heated in a shorter time? Now here the beaker is placed in the middle zone or the luminous zone, and here the beaker is placed in the outer zone, and we know that outer zone is the hottest zone and middle zone is less hot. Now whichever will be in the hotter zone will get heated up quickly. So that means this will get heated up in lesser time. So this will get heated in a shorter time.
I hope you found the video useful. If at all you have a feedback to share, do let us know in the comment section. And if you liked the video, do not forget to share it with your friends. I will meet you all very soon with a new topic, with a new video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.